Hey,
Hi,
sisters!
sisters.
Today I want to talk about initiation and crazy Russians. But first, what do I mean by initiation? Once again, initiation, the initiation that I want to talk about is not the initiation which is just a passing on ritual of a lineage or some kind of teaching. It is that deep personal esoteric initiation that transforms one's being. And fundamentally, this initiation to a degree is universal. The first step on this path of initiation is one's life lived wisely. So when we see a person, people in the world, even to a degree normies that don't necessarily have any occult training, there is this thing that can happen where someone may, without knowing it, if they study spiritual works or world mythology, or they're deeply embedded in folk tales, if they then go on to create some form of art and really dig deep within themselves, what comes out can be something remarkable, even if it's just a painting or a statue or a poem or something. The artist, even if these esoteric elements are placed into their art unconsciously, they're still there. They're still esoteric, occult, initiatic elements within that art that speak to us. So who am I talking about specifically? I want to talk about The Master and Margarita. This book, written by good old Mikhail Bulgakov, has initiatic elements in it. It's seen as a work of great literature, and as all, great work of literature is, the people who create it, they embed something of them, but it's not just something of themselves. It's something of their higher nature, their higher genius, their higher cylinders, their active intellect. The holy guardian angel, their higher self, has laid seeds of something in their work, even without them intending to. Or maybe sometimes they do intend. But nonetheless, Master and the Margarita, what is it about? It's basically a satire. It's set in Soviet Russia. What happens when you mix that with a gang of black magicians? This is basically the story. Satan and a bunch of black magicians come to Soviet Russia and just mess with people. It's a 400-page book, and that's the first 200 pages is just these guys trolling bureaucrats. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because you think of like bureaucracies, and you need to go here and you need a ticket, or you need to do this, and you need to first apply for some certificate for something else, and this and that. You know what bureaucracy is, you know what red tape is, and you know how crazy that would have been in the Soviet period. Well, what happens when basically guys with magical powers come in and just troll people? That's where a lot of the humor comes in, and I'm not gonna lie, it just didn't hit for me. Like, I didn't live through Soviet occupation or know anyone who did, so for me it just didn't hit. It just didn't hit. Like, I don't know, the humor was just kind of had this weird absurdity to it, which should make me laugh, but it didn't. Like, there's one scene where a guy's talking, and halfway through, talking to all these people, he realizes that everyone thinks he's insane. So he just kind of jumps out a window. But like the way it's delivered in the story, he's just kind of talking and then just goes, "Bye everyone," and like jumps. And then there's further comedy because the glass doesn't break, and so he just like hits it and slides down like a kind of a cartoon character, and then everyone jumps on him. And it's funny in this absurd way, but like I can imagine a Russian guy reading this book and being in tears of laughter, but it just didn't hit me in that way. When you see a funny movie and then you take a friend to see it and it's like, "Hey, this is hilarious," and then your friend just watches the movie and they don't laugh, and they just go like, "That's so funny. That's so funny." They don't laugh, they just say, "That's so funny." That's how I was reading this book. I read something and it hit the fun, like I can cognize, yes, this is hilarious, but it didn't make me laugh. Nonetheless, where's the esoteric? Well, black magicians messing with Russians. Okay, cool. Where's the esoteric? Well, this is where we get introduced to the character, the Master. So the Master is really interesting when he finally gets introduced. So the Master is a guy in an insane asylum, and we're introduced to him through the eyes of someone else. So someone else gets put in an insane asylum, and the Master's this guy who just comes in through his window and is like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like at night, and the guy's like, "Oh, who are you?" The Master is another patient in the insane asylum, but he stole a key from one of like the guards or nurses, and so he just kind of walks around at night because he's bored and like goes into other people's rooms and kind of like meets the other patients and just says hi. And the thing about that is, it's like, just think about that for a second. An asylum is it's basically a prison. So what is the Master? The Master is someone who's in a prison, and yet they can walk around freely. So somewhere that's a prison, a place of control, of constriction, he is still in there. He's in there. He's a patient in there. He's a prisoner, but he's free. He can move about as he wants. That's a privilege that the other prisoners don't have. He can move about freely. He could even potentially leave if he wanted to, but he chooses not to. And then there's, of course, his name, the Master. He kind of has a real name, but he's died to it. His past life is dead. He's died to his previous life. And now he just calls himself the Master. Like, you can kind of see, like, this is interesting. Okay, this guy with a key who's in an asylum, but he's free, but he's in prison, and he's called the Master. There's something there. There's something, you can see the element of initiation there. But next, the other kind of part is we then get this character, Margarita. And Margarita is interesting because Margarita goes through this whole ordeal with Satan, basically, with, making this Faustian bargain. It's interesting because it's from the feminine side, not the masculine. Usually it's the guy has to make a bargain and save the gal. But this is different. It's like, the ancient Greek work of Psyche and Eros. In the tale of Psyche and Eros, it's not Eros that does everything, it's Psyche. Psyche basically comes and has to go through all of these trials set out by Aphrodite. And so it's, instead of the male going through trials to reconcile with the female, it's the opposite. It's the female is the active element that then works in the world, that then has to make this Faustian bargain to do some kind of work. I don't want to spoil the book, to do some kind of work, and then to reconcile and save the masculine. And it's really interesting because it's not I don't want to spoil the ending, but at the end it is a happy ending, and there is this overcoming of evil, but not in the American, and we beat up the devil, and not even in the, I guess the more European one would be the outsmarting of the devil. It's not an overcoming or a tricking of the devil. It's almost like this automatic love eventually conquers. It's really interesting, and there's this meditation on almost dualism at the end, where the character Woland, really based, by the way, Woland is a great character. Like, Woland the Black Magician is probably the best Satan Lucifer archetype. One of the better ones, at least, that I've seen in literature. But he kind of he's talking to someone, I won't spoil who, but he's talking to someone, that he has this, like, conversation, like, about dualism. Like, he says something like, if you strike the sword of justice into the ground, illuminating it will still cast a shadow. Even the sword of justice will cast a shadow when it's illuminated by the sun. And he kind of basically has this thing, it's like, anything in the world that's an object will cast a shadow. If you want a world without evil, a world without shadows, then it will be a world without objects. And is that a world you really want? And he's not kind of saying like, good and evil, it's just two sides of the same coin, it's just, you just gotta let evil things happen. He's not really saying that. And in fact, what's really evil in the book is, the Soviet system, that dry, atheistic, materialist kind of system that's oppressing people. What is Satan and the Black Magicians there doing? They're almost like this rebellious, creative force. The trickster archetype is this force of rebellion which almost rejects authoritarianism. There's this essence of, if you want to find God, I know I'm using the word God, but if you want to find truth, say, or God, there's this element of, well, if the devil exists, then there must be the opposite. If you want hope that there's good in the world, well, if you see a demon, then the opposite of a demon, an angel, must exist. So there's this kind of almost like this Nietzschean, you first go, like, learn about good through evil kind of thing happening. And this is what I mean, this book has these elements of initiation in it. The things that an initiate should have, the attributes that an initiate should have, there are important, almost like a Zen koan, there are these things in this book which, if contemplated properly, these metaphors, these symbols, like, Margarita's kind of adventure where she goes and gets initiated and becomes this queen, and it becomes very esoteric very quickly. Let's just say that. Like, you get through the first 200 pages of just, like, what's his name? Koroviev and, like, Azazello just trolling people, and Behemoth, the black cat who can talk, best boy, by the way, hilarious. Those guys, yeah, it's just like them trolling people, and then it gets esoteric really quickly. So I don't know. I read this book, and I just want to put that out there. As occultists, it's not that you just have to read dusty old manuscripts and just keep reading, I don't know, like, long texts all the time. You need to read dry philosophy. There's also another way to extract knowledge from the world. what we're looking for is embedded in art, and we should engage in art. In a sense, what are you doing when you read the plays of Shakespeare? You're gaining another perspective. You're looking at different psychological structures which you yourself could have never or may never have created. So each time you read a work of great literature, it's almost like you're given another glimpse into reality from another perspective. We ourselves are locked into a specific perspective. So through reading widely and in a generalist way, we are unchaining ourselves from our own limited perspective. That is needed. Because what is an initiate? An initiate is someone who's achieved initiation. In other words, their being extends farther than normal people. Their consciousness extends farther than normal people. Their consciousness is not limited by the society they live in, or by their prejudices, or by preconceptions or assumptions. They are free of those things. And so I'm not saying Mikhail Bulgakov was an initiate, or Dostoevsky or Tolstoy, or it's not necessarily that these people who write great literature are even esoteric at all, but they are masters of their own work. And in that way, if we engage with the people who are operating at the highest level in, their own kind of fields, that helps us extend ourselves. I feel like I'm rambling now. Anyway, it was a good book. Read the book, get an audiobook. I think there was a new movie. The Russians made a movie again, 2023, edition, Master Margarita. Check that out. It looks pretty. I saw some edits for it a little while ago. It looked pretty based, not gonna lie. And I'm just gonna end here now. I'm just rambling, guys. Thank you for watching the video. If you want to support this channel, please like and subscribe. Actually, just drop a donation in the PayPal, please. Become a member. More content to come. This is just a little side tangent, guys. I've got some more important things in the pipeline, but thank you for watching nonetheless. Bye.